Marie, what's your reaction to these reports?
Every day you think, surely it cannot get any worse, but every day it does. We're learning that he's spending more and more time with terrorists, with extremists. His credibility surely is blown, but the ratings at home, they're quite alarming. Despite his dramatic drop in personal opinion polls, Labour are still ahead if there was a general election tomorrow.
How do you explain that?
He's a popularist leader. I cannot explain why good people, seeing that this is a man who spends his time with extremists, with terrorists, with people that threaten the security of Britain, not just Jews, think that this is a man who can lead the government.
Look, perhaps, Amy, I'll sort of slip in with something that might be a little bit less diplomatic for Marie. There are really two reasons that Corbyn seems to be doing, I'd say, fairly well in the polls. First of all, there is a certain populist backlash against the policies that the Tory government have been selling the public for the last few years. He offers something that is really a rebellion against policies that most working people say isn't working to their benefit. But more importantly than that, the British government has really been doing an appalling job on Brexit. Right. It's been a year and a half since it triggered the leaving process. Still doesn't have a collective position on how it wants to leave the European Union. Frankly, any leader other than Jeremy Corbyn would be completely crushing the Conservatives in the polls.
It's true that there is a lot of problems to do with Brexit, but that doesn't explain the popularity among young voters with Jeremy Corbyn, because that is where he's getting it. It is a cult, and people are betrayers if they are not with him.
And tell us a bit about how the Jewish community today is feeling when you hear these news.
We're feeling nervous, we're feeling anxious. It's like Jeremy Corbyn has declared war on the Jews at home. We've never been in this situation. It's unprecedented. We are fighting this. We are insisting on the international definition of anti-Semitism being implemented in full with the examples. We want the show trial of Ian Austin stopped, and we want the numerous disciplinary actions that have been pending for years to be completed in a transparent way. But his hatred of Israel and Zionism runs so deep, he cannot separate that from anti-Semitism. We, as the Jewish community, are now spending our time fighting the leader of the opposition. This is unknown.
Do you predict that he will be Prime Minister? I mean, I know that this is just polling that we're seeing now. What's your gut feeling? Do you think that this man is going to be Prime Minister?
I obviously cannot tell people how to vote, but if there was a general election tomorrow, the polls are indicating that he could indeed be a Prime Minister. We're in unprecedented, troubling, difficult times for the Jewish community.
Did you expect, by the way, the Prime Minister herself, Theresa May, to be a bit more vocal on this? Correct me if I'm wrong, because she hasn't commented on any of this, the scandal, or
she has. There was a moment in Prime Minister's questions that she did lash out at Corbyn.
But is she kind of looking at this kind of sign of let these guys do their own damage to themselves?
The government has accepted the international definition of anti-Semitism, and the Tories have always shown themselves to be friends to the Jewish community. I think that she cannot control what is happening now. We've got to keep calling out every act of anti-Semitism. We are very united in the UK that we cannot give up on this fight. But his cavorting with terrorists, spending time with terrorists, thinking that they're honoured friends and brothers, this is incredible.
Happen to Israeli-UK relations if he becomes Prime Minister?
It's quite clear that there probably aren't going to be any relations immediately. I should think this could be a threat to world security, because the relationship between UK and Israeli intelligence is probably quite deep. This is going to have major implications, not just for Jews.
All right. Marie, thank you very much for coming on the show. Elon, keep up doing the amazing work that you're doing. We're going to keep an eye on this story, of course, and stay with us. We'll be right back with our left-wing and right-wing panelists to debate the hottest issues in our region today. Stick around.